Jai Hind everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel which is Explore Yourself, Banking and General Knowledge, etc. Memoir of my banking journey by Mr. V.H. Ramakrishnan, retired General Manager of Bank of India. Episode number 17. The chapter Delhi Chalo, my experiments, experiences as General Manager is continuing. The link of earlier episodes is available in description. Experiment number 10. I had made it a practice that any officer posted to the zone should meet me first. This always helped me to know their background. I could give them a suitable posting. I noticed one peculiar pattern. Many who were posted as managers would report and after a month apply for privilege leave for 1 to 3 months. I asked them about the reason. The standard reply was that in their previous zone they could not take leave due to pressure of work and the leave was about to lapse. I was not convinced. Why they should wait till the leave lapses? I, for one, believe that an officer should take leave every year as a break would do him a lot of good. So, whenever someone reported as manager, I would tell them like this: if you want to take leave, take it right now for whatever period you want. We have managed without you, and we can manage for another few months. But once you report, I want you to work continuously for 1 year. This worked out well in many cases. Experiment number 11. There was one scale 3 officer in a big branch. He was the senior most officer in that branch, next to the manager. Let us call him X. When I met him at the branch, he gave me a list of very senior executives with whom he had worked side by side. He also had a good personality. He could articulate well, but he was working as an officer, not as deputy manager, which according to me he deserved. He also called on me and again rattled the names of top executives whom he had seen as junior officers. He wanted to give him a chance to work as a deputy manager. People around me advised against such a move. They all said that he only talked and boasted but was not a sincere worker. I did not listen. The chief manager of the branch reluctantly agreed and made him deputy chief manager of the administration. I thought I had done justice to, to the seniority of the person, but how wrong I was. A very few days later, I started getting feedbacks which were not at all good. I came to know from reliable officers that Mr. X ensured that he gets two newspapers on his table every day, which he kept reading during office hours. He started firing officers with the newfound power. If any problem was referred to him, he solved it in the easiest manner. He directed them to go to chief manager. After a few months, we had to quietly remove him from the position. That was a failed experiment. Working with future chairmen and executive directors. There was no crystal ball to predict who would become chairman or EDs. So I am going to write about a few of them who were in Delhi with me and later rose to very high positions as to how I saw them at that time. I had already mentioned about S. Raman, full-time director SEBI, M. Venugopalan, ex-CMD, Bank of India, P.S. Sinoy, ex-CMD, Bank of Baroda, N.R. Achan, ex-CMD, Catholic Syrian Bank, Bhupinder Nair, ex-CD, Oriental Bank of Commerce, Gauri Shankar, ED, Punjab National Bank in detail. I may refer to them in future also. When I reported to Delhi, Mr. Alok Mishra was the chief officer, planning. Good personality, soft spoken and sophisticated. Good in spoken and written English. A calm and quiet person. If you give him any assignment, he would finish well within the time. His wife was working in the income tax department in a senior position. After about a couple of years of my reporting at Delhi, Mrs. Mishra was transferred to Mumbai. So Alok, that is how I used to call him, also applied for transfer to Mumbai, and it was about to be cleared by head office. One fine morning, he came to me and requested me whether I could relieve him early. He also gave me the reason. He was due for promotion to Skill 4. He felt his chances would be better if he appeared from Mumbai instead of Delhi. I had no issues, so I relieved him immediately and he was posted at head office. Within a couple of weeks, the promotion process was announced. Different committees were formed. I was asked to be a member of the committee to interview candidates from head office. Solok appeared before me for the interview. There was no need for me to ask him any questions. He deserved and was promoted. Perfect timing. I kept on bumping into Alok. When I took charge of international department, he was there as chief manager. Later, he was posted as chief executive of the Jambian Bank, and I was the director of the bank. He was a great host, managed that bank very well, churning out huge profits. He also successfully managed officers from three different banks. More about in it when I write about my head office days. I was very happy when he became ED of Canara Bank and later the chairman of Bank of India. Mrs. Nupur Mitra landed in Delhi with a reputation from UP. She was the manager of Kanpur branch prior to her transfer. This branch was always considered as a tough branch to manage. I remember that in the 70s, where there are a lot of problems with our staff. With the result, the entire branch was converted into all officer branch. When she was posted as manager of Kanpur branch, she took it as a challenge and did a commendable job. When she landed in Delhi, she was posted as manager of Mayapuri Industrial Area branch. She was very fast in decision making and credit proposals started flowing from the branch. She was an officer with ambitions to go up the ladder. I had an occasion to witness her quick-witted reply. She appeared for interview for Scale 4 to Scale 5. I was a member of the interview panel. The then ED, Mr. Gopal Krishnan, was the chairman of the panel. Whom I know, the officer, I do not ask technical questions. Just for fun, I asked her one question. Give me three reasons as to why you should not be promoted. I have to confess. This question was once asked by Mr. Katuria to a candidate. I had just copied it. Without batting an eyelid, she replied, 1. If you find a candidate better than me, please do not select me. 2. If you want an expert in foreign exchange, please do not select me. You ran up and did not wait for third reason. She got promoted. After I left, she was posted to Industrial Finance Branch, Delhi, and her skills in credit got sharpened. With the able guidance of Mr. T.R. Madhavan, an authority on credit. More about him later. She never resisted any transfer. She was posted to London as the CE of European branches and did an excellent job. Ultimately, she got elevated as ED of Indian Overseas Bank and then became the CMD of Dena Bank. Her performance as CMD was well appreciated in the banking circles. She was the second lady from Bank of India after Mrs. Ranjana Kumar to become the CMD of a bank. Another officer from Delhi who has risen to position of ED is Mr. Rakesh Sethi. He was a trainee officer in a foreign branch. He reported at New Delhi Overseas Branch. His excellent work came to my notice. His polite manners and efficiency impressed me a lot. He was posted later to Indo-Jambian Bank. About 2 to 3 years back, he was posted as General Manager, National Banking at Chennai. I had a pleasant surprise when I got a call from him one day. He informed me that he would be visiting Hyderabad in a couple of days and invited me to join him for lunch. I was indeed very much touched by this love and affection shown towards me 10 years after retirement. He is now ED of Indian Bank of India. He might have become a chairman, but for the government changing the rules for selection of CMDs in the last minute. A perfect gentleman of officer. I wish him all the best. Lessons learned. When a new manager takes over, there should be continuity for at least 1 year. He should not be like a transit passenger. Do not totally ignore the views of colleagues. Do not think mere seniority is enough to occupy a position. Suitability is equally important. Tailpiece. South Indians in Delhi are familiar with the famous Sarojini Nagar Ganesha temple. I was a frequent visitor to this temple. On one festival day, after the puja, prasadams were distributed. One person was having a big utensil with prasadam. Everybody surrounded him, making it difficult for him to distribute. He politely requested them to form a line. No one listened. At that moment, an Archakar Panditji came and announced in a loud but polite voice in Tamil, Patichava Illam Dayabu Setu Barisayu Milungu. All educated people, please stand in the queue. You will not believe it. Within 2 seconds, there was an orderly queue. I really admired the Panditji. NPA recovery, Krishnamurti style. No, not Mr. KV Krishnamurti. It is about PV Krishnamurti, PVK. He was chief manager of Nehru Place branch. He had spent quite a few years in Delhi. He always looked like a serious person. Nehru Place was an old branch. The branch was located in two adjacent buildings. All operations deposits were in one wing and credit department was in another wing. PVK used to sit in the credit wing. He was not burdened with the routine operations which were taken care of by his deputy in the other wing. Being an old branch, it had a legacy of bad accounts. I noticed that the branch was doing well in recovery. When I visited the branch, I asked PVK to tell me about his strategy. He said he had a simple method. He used to take five chronic cases to be personally monitored by him. He would not take the assistance of any other officer. He would go through the files from the beginning thoroughly. He would even note down who introduced the account, say some even 20 years back. Then he would start tracking down the people. He would visit the houses of borrowers, introducers, guarantors, etc. He once tracked a borrower who had shifted to US, telephoned him at odd hours, and made his life miserable. With the result, the borrower remitted money from US. Each recovery was a story of by itself. When he had finished with one account, he would take another account. The idea was to have five accounts at any time for recovery. I was very much impressed by this approach. In one manager's conference, I asked him to deliver a talk on his methods. I also advised all the managers to adopt this model. I went one step ahead and told them they could give two accounts each to another other senior officers not connected with the credit. But I do not think anyone followed his example. Sometimes it is very difficult to change people. I understand he took VRS as a chief manager. According to me, he is another unsung hero of the bank. He never approached anyone for any favor. I am informed by his brother Durgadas that PVK is happily settled down in Delhi with children very well off. I wish him and his family all the best. A different type of recovery. One day, Mr. P.S. Sinoy, my joint general manager, came to me with an interesting observation. He had with him a memorandum for write-off or making a provision in a partnership account from one of our branches. When he went through the names of partners, he noticed that one of the partners had a surname, not a common one, similar to one of our lady officers. He had made inquiries and it was confirmed that this partner was the lady officer's husband's brother. I had mentioned about this lady officer earlier. She was a well-to-do lady and was a socialite. While Sinai was talking, I suddenly remembered something. A few months back, this lady officer hosted a big fete at a five-star hotel. I think for her silver jubilee wedding anniversary, which I had attended. A light of the city were present. There she introduced me to her brother-in-law, stating he was doing business in Chennai and was dealing with one of our branches there. Name withheld by me. I was inquiring about his business, and he mentioned that he had sizable deposits with the branch. Having recalled this conversation, I phoned the branch manager in Chennai over phone. It was one Mr. Ranga. He was known as Bullet Ranga. When he was in Mysore branch, he faced armed robbers and took a bullet on his thigh. A very good officer. He confirmed that he was having deposits in the name of the defaulter. I immediately told him to block the amount. Then we sent an official letter exercising our lien and appropriated the deposits to recover the full dues with penal interest. Hats off to Ranga, he kept everything confidential and antagonist is good customer for the sake of bank. All hells broke loose. The lady officer came running to me saying we have done an injustice to our brother-in-law. I explained to her that for years he never responded to bank's communications and never came forward to settle the dues or even for a compromise. She angrily walked out of the room. Then her brother-in-law flew in from Chennai. He said he was a silent partner and it was the other partner who was at fault. I explained to him the legal position. However, I told him to give a request letter so that we can show some concession in the penal interest. He gave a letter. We took into consideration the fact that he was doing business with the Bank of India and gave him some relief. Meanwhile, the lady officer also went and reported to the association. Her argument was when the bank was writing off big amounts, we should not have harassed her brother-in-law. Association with association. After Mr. Dhavatri took charge as CMD, he announced to the general manager's conference that he would allocate a small budget to the JDMs for giving donations. It was unheard of in Bank of India. Donation was strictly controlled at head office. He explained the rationale behind this decision. Quote, you are all occupying top position in the bank. Some of the zones are bigger than even small banks. Sometimes organizations may be approaching you for a small donation. Every time you cannot say that you have to refer to head office. This would affect your image. Even your own community may have a local association which you may like to help. Once again, hats off to Mr. Dawatre for thinking practicality. I never knew this would enable me to gain a big publicity. From my school days, I was, even now, interested in Tamil literature. In my college days, I used to participate and win prizes in Tamil oratorical competitions and debates. Once I received a prize from the hands of late Mr. C.D. Deshmukh, who was the first Indian governor of RBI and later India's finance minister. Delhi Tamil Association was a well-established old organization consisting of the members of the Tamil community in Delhi. It had its own big building at Arkepuram. The ground floor was let out to Syndicate Bank. This branch had the reputation of having the highest number of SB accounts for a bank branch in India at that time. One day I saw in the engagements column of the Hindu about a program organized by the Delhi Tamil Sangam. I attended the program. I did not know any of the office bearers of the Sangam. During the program, they made an appeal for donations. I remembered Mr. David's words. Next morning, I told my secretary Bala to find out the name of the secretary of the Sangam and inform him that we would like to give a check for rupees 5,000 as donation. The secretary, one Mr. Manian, was thrilled. When he got the call from Bala, it was very rare to get a voluntary offer of donation. He called on me personally to thank me and assured me that they would send me invitations for all their programs. The president of the Sangam was one Mr. Rajaraman, past president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and a well-known VIP in Delhi. I started attending the programs whenever possible. Many well-known writers and achievers in various fields used to visit the Sangam and address the community. After about a year, the elections were due for the Sangam. Mandian called on me and informed me that the present team was decided to propose me for the post of vice president. My first reaction was to refuse, especially when he informed me that there would be a contest. After a lot of persuasion, I agreed on one condition that I would not do any canvassing. I learned later that a ruling joint secretary was pitted against me, so I was mentally prepared for a defeat. On the election day, I went and cast my vote. Then I told Manian that I would be going home. I did not want to miss my precious Sunday afternoon siesta and would not wait for counting of votes. I came home and had my lunch and happily dozed off. Manian woke me up around 3:30 p.m. to congratulate me. The entire team, group of Mr. Rajaraman won. I had defeated the joint secretary. Thank God. He had nothing to do with banking division. Only thing he was a customer of Khan Market branch. I had met him earlier. He took it in the right spirit. The position of vice president gave me a good visibility in the society. I could stand along with the prime minister for a function. I also shared the stage along with the Mr. T. N. Sassan, who was the then chief election commissioner. Both of us addressed a gathering of more than 5,000 people. I also presided over some functions involving the elite from Tamil Nadu. Every time I was introduced as the general manager of Bank of India, all this was possible due to the practical decision of Mr. Dahotre. Tell peace. Pre-computerization days. Books were maintained manually. There was an officer in a bank. He had a peculiar habit. Every morning, the moment he occupied his seat, he would open his right side table drawer with his key and to look inside, and then he would close it and lock it. He was doing it without fail every day. All his colleagues were curious to know what he was looking at every morning. When they asked him, he would just smile and would say, that was a secret. Nobody had any clue. That drawer was always locked and up. after he did the morning routine. This practice went on for years. Finally, the day of his retirement came. That morning also he opened the drawer and looked inside and then locked it. In the evening he was given a farewell party. After seeing him off, the entire staff rushed back inside the office and went to his table. Years of suspense was to be over. One of them opened the door right hand side drawer with the key which the employee had handed over to his boss. Inside the drawer there was a big sheet of paper. On it was written in big bold letters, window side debit, door side credit. I had read this joke about 30 years back, could never forget it. APR or score setting card. As Deputy General Manager, I used to get the annual performance reports of all the skillful officers. The Joint General Manager was the assessing authority. I was the reviewing authority. As this was an annual exercise, I used to spend considerable time on each and every APR. I was aware that a wrong assessment may affect the future of that officer. At the same time, the officer's performance also should justify the marks given. The assessing officer also should be impartial. I have two interesting cases to narrate. I was the assessing officer for the assistant general manager. For my joint general manager, who was very high calibre, I had given very high marks. I had not given such high marks for any other officers till then. I had justified my rating with suitable explanations. In fact, I felt very happy at the end of the day. The APR went to head office. I got a call from the chairman. He told me that I had given very high marks for the officer. He added, if he deserves such high marks, he should be occupying my chair. He told me to reassess. The APR came back to me. I was not happy. Still, I had to bow down to the wisdom of the chairman. So I did some marginal adjustments, and ultimately the AGM did become a chairman in another bench. I felt vindicated. We had a chief manager of a branch in Delhi. He was an expert in forex operations and very intelligent. His only drawback at the time was he used to be a bit emotional and had a tendency to react sharply. Once he had an argument with the JJM on an official matter and he won the argument. It is said no boss wants a person more intelligent than him to work under him. Naturally, the JJM was upset. The only way he could take a revenge was to hit the officer below the belt while assisting in the APR. That exactly was that he did. Luckily, the officer concerned had briefed me about the argument immediately after it took place. When I saw the APR, I was shocked. The JJM had given such a low marks that the officer would not get its next promotion for another 3 years, as it would have been brought down the average. I had to do some damage control, so I revised the marks to a very safe level and explained in the APR that the JJM was prejudiced and gave the background also. The officer got through his next promotion, and by sheer luck, I was also in the interview panel. In fact, I want to narrate another APR matter which I handled in head office. Though they have nothing to do with Delhi, I would like to mention about them here since I am on the subject of APRs. There was an issue at one of our foreign branches. Unfortunately, two officers were pro-chief executive and two anti-chief executive. When the APRs came to me, I was GM International. I found that two pro officers had been given very high marks and that two anti officers have been given very low marks, which would hit their promotions for the next 3 years. Normally, only officers with high marks in APRs are selected for foreign posting. This sudden fall in their rating was due to the bias of the chief executive. I had to prepare a strong ground before going to the CMD. I called for the APRs for the last 10 years for both the officers, jotted them down, which revealed that both of them had very high marks during all those years. Armed with this ammunition, I entered the chairman, Mr. Kathodia's cabin. Still, I had one problem. Somehow, Mr. Kathodia was not very happy with one of the affected officers. So I decided that the best way was to be blunt. I told the chairman that I was aware that he was not happy with one of the officers. Then I explained about the injustice done to them and showed him the marks for the last 10 years. As usual, he listened patiently, and then said he was in agreement with me. He authorized me to give them marks in tune with their earlier rating. Then he told me to write a small letter to the chief executive. He dictated the letter to me. It was one of the best short and effective letters. I remember the wordings even today. It ran like this. Dear X, I have seen the APRs of officers A and B. I know the reason for your rating them low. When you go up the ladder, you should have generosity of heart. Yours sincerely, G. Katuria. I got the letter typed and took it to him, and he signed within a second. After sending the letter, I called up the chief executive and told him he would get a letter from the CMD. He would be wondering who went to the CMD about the APRs. I only went to him as I felt an injustice has been done to the officers. My advice to you, as your senior colleague, is not to try to defend your actions. Just acknowledge the letter and say you have noted the advice given to you. The chief executive was good enough to act as per my advice. Though out of the two officers, one could rise to the position of the general manager in the bank. Another resigned a few months after returning to India. That is another story. Give credit where it is due. I had mentioned about this incident in the context of a similar incident in my Nigerian experiences. Still, I am going to repeat it here to show the contrast between the attitudes of two officers. Mr. C.S. Johari was the Chief Officer of Operations Department. Whenever I used to pass through his table, I used to find it very neat and tidy. He once explained his method of working. Every morning he would call his three officers working under him and find out their pending work and would prioritize the same. Then he would give them fresh work to be done during the day. This assessment would be over within 10 minutes. He had another good practice. Whenever I appreciate a well drafted letter, he would tell me, "Give me a minute, sir." And then he would go out and literally drag into my room a junior officer who would be virtually shivering and tell me, "He is the one who drafted the letter." Jory never took credit for a single letter. His officers were totally loyal to him because of the encouragement and recognitions given by him. In contrast, there was another departmental head. As usual, let us call him X. His department also used to draft good letters. Whenever I appreciated the letter, he would say that he only drafted the letter. I also believed him, but I came to know one day that he had the brilliant second officer who drafted all these letters. I then played a small trick. After reading a letter from his department, I called him and asked him in a slightly annoyed tone as to who drafted the letter. He immediately mentioned the name of the second officer. Then I changed my tone and told him to inform his second officer that it was a very well drafted letter, but the last word was from X. He responded by saying that he only dictated the letter to the second officer. I had no words to react. Liaison with Banking Division. One of the special jobs of the Delhi JDM was to keep a good liaison with the banking division. As I had mentioned earlier, this was very well taken care of by the PRO. I found it very embarrassing to go and hang around the division without any job, so I restricted my visit only for the following purposes. Whenever there was a message to be conveyed by the chairman to some official, whenever a new joint secretary reported, I would make a courtesy call on him or her. If there was any confidential paper was to be pursued, I would go personally. Invariably, one of the joint secretary or director would be a director of the bank. Naturally, I had options to deal with them. In general, the officials were very considerate and professional. I had some interesting experiences in the banking division. When retired Y.V. Reddy, ex-governor RBI, was the additional secretary in the banking division, I had an opportunity to call on him a couple of times. He was very courteous. On both the occasions when I entered his room, he used to get up from his seat, shake hands with me, and then ask me to take my seat. In total contrast, there was another joint secretary who was also a director of our bank. Once I had to meet him for some official work. When I entered his room, he asked me in a loud voice, what do you want, Ramakrishnan? I did not reply. I always used to feel that as the Deputy General Manager of the Bank of India and as a qualified chartered accountant, I was in no way inferior to a joint secretary. Maybe I had some ego problem. I walked to his table and occupied a chair like Hanuman did before Ravana, and then conveyed the message. The joint secretary was otherwise quite efficient and ultimately landed in Prime Minister's office. His style was like that. To be continued. Lessons I learned. When you go up the ladder, try to become more generous while dealing with your juniors. Do not take revenge while giving marks in a peer. Give credit to those working under you. You will automatically get credited. Tell peace. That is bureaucracy. This is a real incident heard in the corridors of banking division. Once a secretary in charge of banking division, let us call him Mr. P, was asked to hold additional charge as chairman of a government-owned financial company pending the appointment of his regular chairman. The finance company wanted to recruit more officers. A very good case was made and Mr. P as chairman of finance company signed the demi-official letter addressed to Mr. P, the Secretary Banking Division. The Banking Division processed the request and declined the request in toto. Then that letter was put up to Secretary Banking to his signature. Mr. P signed the same as Secretary Banking Division and it was addressed to Mr. P, Chairman of the finance company. The chapter Delhi Chalo, my experience as a general manager is continuing. Thank you very much for your patience. Request to like, subscribe, and share.